Hi, good afternoon everyone on Facebook Live and hi, good afternoon everyone on Facebook Live, IG, and also on LinkedIn. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for our seminar on skill migration for life in Australia and Canada. And hi everybody, in our office today for going through this migration program with us. Right? So thank you again for coming down today to join us in our seminar. So today we'll be going through a little bit more on Australia and Canada, on how to migrate over and what considered in terms of being eligible. All right. So we're going to go through the company introduction today, then afterwards by Australia, then Canada, and also any Q&A on the floor. All right. So AIMS immigration we've been around for about 14 years. Since 2006, so 15 years is our year today. And then we have expanded about 13 offices across Asia Pac and also Oceanic countries. So we are skilled in doing our skill migration, business migration, investors, visas, passport program, etc. throughout the whole Asia Pac and also actually throughout the world. So our vision and mission is actually to be a leading and reputable migration and relocation provider in Asia Pac. And recognized for their professionalism and also service excellence. And our mission is to achieve our clients' migration and relocation goals through our specialized and dedicated team. Okay, so our core value is actually push. So I understand a lot of our clients don't like to be pushed. Sometimes push into making a decision whether to migrate or not. And then some come back to us after 6 years to actually want to migrate them. But a lot of times after those 6 years, they are usually not qualified afterwards. Usually by age, by health, because most of the migration program that's there require a health checkup. So you could be very healthy now, and I hope you guys stay that way as well. But 6 years later, there could be complications or implications in the health that would render you disqualified. So the best time is actually now when you're healthy and you're qualified or eligible. Will be the best time to move. Okay. So our overseas presence, we are in Shanghai, Beijing, Hong Kong, Hanoi, Manila, Ho Chi Minh, Yangon, Phnom Penh, Jakarta, Singapore, Kuching, Perth, Adelaide. So we are across the Asia. Okay. And AIMS in 2021, we have about 300 immigrations professional, 300 staff in AIMS, throughout AIMS in the 13 offices. And so also we provide immigrations to more than 20 destination countries. And we have helped over 18,000 families to make their migration dream come true. Okay. So these are the countries that we are migrating to. So I'll give you guys a second to go through the countries. So we have Australia, Canada, USA, European countries, and Caribbean countries as well, if you guys are interested in taking the passport up over there. And today, we'll be focusing on Australia and Canada. Okay. Our services, like I've mentioned, skilled workers, we are helping investors as well to move over to other countries to get the passport. Student visas, corporate relocation, if let's say you're having an internal transfer in your company and your company needs some help in helping you with that visa, you can actually come to us and we'll be able to assist you on that. We have citizenship as well to European countries, family visas like your parents' visa when you guys go over to Australia or go to Canada, employer sponsorship mainly for Australia and also for entrepreneurs. If you're looking to set up a company in Canada or Australia, we'll be able to help you with that as well. Okay. So why choose AIMS? We have a full spectrum of services. So we do have clients who come to us going through the skill migration program at first. And after a couple of years in their destination country, they want to bring their family or bring their parents over as well. So we're able to assist you in a one-stop solution where you just have to come to us and we will help you with all the migration services that you need. We have a dedicated consultant to you as well. There will be a dedicated team to your application as well. For Australia, it's a little bit more demanding. There is skill assessment that is involved that by specific industry. So a team and our client support team will actually help you guys with your skill assessment. Professional advice, we've been around for about 14 and 15 years already, so we already know what we need to help you to do to get all the documentation in. So offices across Asia as well. So you might be in Singapore now, you might go to other countries, or might be posted to other countries as well. So if you are in other countries that you need someone to talk to, you need to meet someone face to face, our other office will be able to provide that as well. Okay, so all our migration to Australia are done by a Mara agent. That's our agent code over there, and you can also go to www.mara.gov.au to check out the code. So for Canada, we are licensed or we are held by a lawyer in Quebec. So yeah, almost all of your migration matters, immigration matters to Canada are all done by a lawyer. Right? So most livable cities, Australia and Canada both hold about 3 spots in out of the 10, 3 spots each in the 10 spot and the 10 countries that are listed. So you have Calgary, Vancouver, and Toronto for Canada, and then Sydney, Adelaide, and Melbourne for Australia. So this survey rates cities worldwide in 5 general categories. You have stability, healthcare, culture, environment, education, and also infrastructure. So we can see why most of our clients who are going through migration are always looking in these 2 countries, Australia and Canada. Right? So going through, this is Australia. We're going to start a little bit on Australia, and also just a show of hand, anyone here that's looking at going to Australia for migration? Anyone? So can I ask you, what are your main reasons to go to Australia actually?
PR for my family.
Sorry?
PR for my family.
Yeah, well, PR for family, that's great. For this migration program, you will be getting your entire, you're getting PR for your entire family as well. You yourself, your wife, and also your kids. But what are the main motivation that makes you want to move?
But this one big one because I didn't get PR for my family.
Sorry?
For my family, I can't be able to get actually. So I need to go for private schools, all this. So it's costing more.
So mostly into costing of schools, right? So for Australia itself, when you are a PR over there, your school fees are free. Healthcare are free as well. As long as you guys hold a PR, you will be able to enjoy all this benefit as though a local. So why people want to move over, quality of life, world-class education, and also ease of doing business if you guys are looking at doing business over in Australia. Alright? So again, into Australia education, these are the average costing a year for students from primary school to secondary school. It's about $13,000 to about $17,000, and that is yearly. And overall, if you're looking at about from 6 to 18 years old, about 180,000 Aussie dollars the entire time. So if you are a PR over there, those are actually free. With university itself, those are subsidized up to 75%. So on an average, an international student pays about 25,000. You only pay about 5. Yeah. So these are some of the benefits that once you move over to Australia, that's what people are looking for. Okay. Healthcare as well. They do have something called the Medicare. So consultation in Australia, they're all free. And then if let's say if you are looking to start a family there, well, regular childbirth is probably about 0 to 1,500 Aussie dollars in Australia. Salary in Australia as well. Salary they do pay by weekly basis, and the minimum wage is about $740 per week. And if you take away the taxes paid to them, although it's a little bit high, it's on the 30% range. You still, even if you're on the minimum wage, the lowest $740, you still take about $500+ back home on a weekly basis, and that's about $2,000 a month. Cost of living, housing are very, very cheap there. House probably costs about $360 for an equivalent in Singapore, I mentioned, which costs about $3.6 million. So once you're over there, you're able to enjoy all these benefits of being able to buy bigger houses, getting cars as well. In Singapore, it costs about 80 to 100 grand for a first-hand car, while in Australia, it's about $21,000. All right. So we're going to dive a little bit into how you're being judged or how you're being based off your scoring in the Australian Migration Points Test. So there are a couple of visas you're actually able to get. First one is a 189, which is a permanent residency visa, and also a 190, which is also a permanent residency visa. The last one will actually be a 491. This is a skilled regional visa, okay, which allows you to work and work, travel, and enter Australia for 5 years. All visas that's under this category for skilled migration, they all last for 5 years. Okay, and it has to be renewed every 5 years. So a 491, it's a provisional visa that allows you to work and live in regional area. And after 3 years of fulfilling the condition that is tied to this visa, you will be able to convert to a PR. So not necessarily for 5 years you'll be a PR. It could be as fast as 3 years where you convert into a PR afterwards. Okay. Role swapping is allowed, and what do I mean by role swapping? If you are moving as a family, if you are the main applicant and you guys get chosen, right, your wife can actually be the one fulfilling these 3 years instead of you, because you still might want to be in Singapore finishing up work, doing some projects that you have on hand. So not necessarily you have to be the one. There could be your wife helping you with this condition as well. Okay? So for this migration points test, what are the age that you have to look out for? You have to be between 18 to 44 years old. We usually will take clients up to the age of 43 because there are documents and process in along the way that could take up a couple of months. So yeah, age is very, very important. Once you hit 45, you'll be deemed ineligible to join the point to go for this test. Okay? Pass the skill assessment. As I mentioned earlier on, different industries has different skill assessor. It's going to judge you on your standard of whether you are able to become maybe an accountant, IT engineer, whether you are qualified as to work in Australia. So these are some of the things that we will be helping you on in getting your skill assessment done. Competent English or above, there's about a couple of tests that you can actually do to get this English competency done. First one is IELTS, which is the International English Language Test. Second one is PT, Pearson Test English. And for IELTS itself, there's two, general and academic. Different occupation requires different, I would say different tests. Some requires IELTS academic, some just need IELTS general. So depending on your assessing authorities, our consultant later on will actually go through with you what are the tests that's required. You need to satisfy your medical and character requirements, so police checks inevitable, and also, like I mentioned earlier on, health check. You need to be free of all the illnesses. If there's existing one, check with the consultant that's going to go through with you later to see if you are still qualified for the program. Okay? And you have to meet the passing mark of 65 points. And how do we derive these 65 points? We'll go through in the next slide. So this is the point test that we go through with our clients. So these are some of the basic factors that they are looking at, mainly age, English language proficiency, your qualification, your working experience, if you have worked in Australia as well, other factors, and also if you are nominated by a state. So for age-wise, you range from 15 to 30 points. 15 is when you're at the higher range of age, 40 to 44, and the most optimal age is around 25 to 30. Okay? For English language, if you're competent, which means 6 in IELTS, or you get 0 points, but you minimally need all this, need to get 6 in all for IELTS. Proficient is 7 in each category, superior is 8 in each category. Okay? For qualification, the minimum that you need is actually diploma, which nets you 10 points, and the highest you can go, doctorate, which will give you 20 points. Overseas skill employment, they mean by anywhere outside of Australia. So if you have at least 3 years of working experience, you get 5, and maximum up to 15 for 8 years of working experience. Okay? If you have worked in Australia, there's a plus point for you as well. You can get up to 20 points if you have worked in Australia previously. So other factors that that comes into play, if you're studying in Australia onshore for 2 years, if you're single, you get additional, automatically get 10 points. If you're married, your wife could actually get an additional 10 points for you as well, via the English and also the skill assessment that I was talking about. If she's qualified or assessed as a certified professional to be working in Australia as well, she will be able to give you a total of 10 points with her English inside. So there are English tests you can do as well, or not say English tests, but language tests. If you're proficient in 2 or 3 languages, you can actually do a translation test to give you the extra additional 5 points. So state and territorial nomination, for 190 and 491, these are specific states that will actually come to you and say, they like your profile a lot and they do want you over in those states. They will give you additional points for nomination, 5 and 15 respectively, if you go for 190 or 490. Okay? So this is a brief overview of what Australia, the visas are actually able to get in Australia. If you got 189, you can stay anywhere in Australia. There's no need for state sponsorship, and also there's no need for regional sponsorship as well. And you will get a 5 years permanent visa. If you get a 190 skilled nominated visa, you will have to stay in the relevant state that actually sponsor you the additional 5 points for up to 700 for 2 years minimally, which is 730 days. State sponsorship is required, and you will get your PR as well, which is a 5 years permanent residency visa. So the last one, which is a 491 skilled regional, you have to stay in the designated area for 3 years minimally, work and stay there, and also have a taxable income of about 54,000. And then also you need to be sponsored by a state to do so. And what you'll get is a 5-year provisional visa, which is actually convertible after 3 years after you fulfill the criteria that they have set in the first place. Okay? So, a general timeline, if you were to consult us or go ahead with us as an agency, you consult with us, we'll go through, review the points that's required, and you make a decision. After that, we'll prepare your documentation and also your skill assessment. This takes about 3 to 5 months. After that, once these are done for your IELTS and your skill assessment, we'll go through something called the expression of interest, where you will let Australian government know that you are ready for selection. And usually for this selection period, we're looking at about 3 to 5 months as well. Lastly, once you have been selected by the government, you will have to do your visa application. So that's another round of documentation that you need to do after you've been selected. Okay. So benefits for PR in Australia. I do understand some of my clients do come to me sometimes. They say, "Oh, I want to go to New Zealand. How about that?" So it's possible as well. If you hold an Australian PR, you're actually able to move to New Zealand and work and live there. However, this now be said the same for Australia to Australia, for New Zealand to Australia. If you're a New Zealand PR, you actually can't go the other way around. Okay. So next up, we are going to Canada. So Canada recently has been, drawing a lot of migrants to go over as their PR. And if you can see, from November to December, they have drawn almost 10,000 PRs in the last 2 months. And even for the government website, if you guys have been following, they've increased the number of migrants they want to bring in from 1 million to 1.2 by the end of 2023. Okay, so that's why you can see the increase of people that they are drawing on a monthly, on a bi-weekly basis has increased almost by about 20%, from 3,500 to about 5,000. Okay, so why Canada? Beautiful scenery. You have your high quality of education as well. Free world-class medical services as well. Okay, cost of living pretty similar to Australia. I think housing there, if you are outside of Toronto, where the main cities are, if you go a little bit into the suburb, you probably get the same pricing as what you get in Australia as well. Cars, obviously the same. It's a lot cheaper than you get in Singapore. Okay, jobs in Canada. Canada has been looking to fill up the 430,000 vacant jobs that's been around. With COVID now, maybe a little bit more. Okay, so for eligibility points test, we're going to go through a little bit more on the test now. Some of the selection factors: age, education, English as well, your work experience, whether you have arranged employment in Canada, and also adaptability. This test, you will need to pass at least 67 points to be eligible for the test. If you score anything lesser than that, you will not be qualified. Okay. So the main applicant has to be 18 and above, and there's no age limit, meaning to say that you could be 50, you could be 51. You will still be eligible as long as you pass the first test that's in place. Okay. Unlike Australia, Australia has an age of 44 or 45. If you pass 45, you will not be eligible anymore. So the applicant has to be working with at least 1 year of continuous paid full-time work in one of the jobs that's listed under NOC O, A, or B. This is usually the list of demands job that they're looking for. Okay, so the main applicant also has to score 6 in all of the components in IELTS. Similarly to Australia as well, you need to score all 6 in all of the components that's there. So the main applicant has to have a high minimum of a high school diploma. So yeah, if you have a diploma, you could be qualified depending on what is required for your occupation. Okay, you need to pass your medical clearance and police clearance as well, and also lastly the 67 points of something about. Okay, so besides the 67 that they have in place, there's another points test which is called the comprehensive ranking system. This is out of 1,002 points. This will actually determine what are the scores that you're getting and what your chances are. So again, for the factors that's there: age, level of education, English proficiency, Canada work experience. Your partner are able to add some points as well with her level of education, the English proficiency, and also if they have worked in Canada or not. You have some adaptability skill or skill transferability that you're able to get. For post-secondary, if you have a diploma and a degree and a postgrad diploma or even masters, there are additional points to achieve as well. And also the working experience outside of Canada. So if you have relatives, first degree relatives that are living in Canada as PR or as citizen, they could also add additional points to your profile. Other than that, if you speak French, there is a huge plus point that you're actually able to get more points of that as well. If you're studying in Canada, have an arranged job in Canada, those are additional points you can achieve as well. And lastly, there is a PNP program, or what we call provisional nomination program, which acts similarly like what a 190 visa would do or a 491 Australian visa would do. If you are able to get this program, nominated for this program, you have to stay in that province for about 2 years, which is 730 days, and you get additional points on top of that, so that you're able to move over faster. Okay, so timeline for Canada: engage with us and complete your education assessment, your education qualification, apply for your express entry, submit your PMP program if you need any. Your consultant later will actually go through with you if he will recommend any PMP program for you guys. Receive your ITA afterwards, and then do your visa application. And once that, you will get your visa grant and your Canada permanent residency. For Canada permanent residency, you'll get it same 5 years. For 5 years, and to renew, you will need to stay in Canada for a minimum of 730 days. This is accumulated and not consecutive. You don't have to stay or be locked in Canada. You can stay sparsely throughout the 5 years that you have the visa for. Okay. So this is what a visa grant looks like for Canada. This is a confirmation of a permanent residency in Canada. Okay. So Canada has one of the most popular passport, I would say, in the world, with visa-free travel to 171 countries. So most of our applicants are looking at this as well, getting the Canada visa. And the best thing about that is that Canada has the lowest stay requirements throughout all the migration programs that we have. For Canada, you only need to stay 3 years out of 3 years out of 5 years to apply, whereas Australia will need 4 out of the 5 years to apply for citizenship. Okay. So, any questions from you guys? Yes, that's right.
Does that apply for Canada?
Because for Canada, they do not have this 491 visa that has some requirements tied to that. For Canada, as long as you guys are there, you guys could go earlier in terms of, for example, the 5 years period, right? Because your renewal is 730 days, which is 2 years. So you could be there first, where your wife and your kids comes 2 years or 3 years after. So they will still fulfill the 730 days that's required for them to renew the visa. So there's no such thing for Canada. Only for Australia, where if you are falling under the 491 category, where there is a 3 years continuous work and stay requirements that's